Blessed love, my people. Welcome to Community Conversations with Afua Speaks. And we're back again this Friday night. Gonna wait for the community to gather as I see you're coming in one by one and two by two. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. It's been a tumultuous week of different just lots of different people that I've spoken to, different call outs. That we've got lined up. I can't do them all at once. And I've been fasting today as well. I've literally just broken my fast today. I'm desperately tired today. So take time with me. Crowd of people, take time with me. Blessed love. Let me see who's in the room. Make sure that my moderators are in before we start. Because as my mentor, the late, great Dr. Khalid Mohammed used to say, it's going to be a rough ride, buddy. It's going to be a rough ride tonight. So we're well and prepared. And yeah, unbelievable. You know, these people wait at your door like wolves, waiting to harm you. You know, I've had several reports, and I mean several, this week from various different sources talking about my demise. Yes, good evening, Brown Sugarful. Good evening, all the warrior sisters coming up in the camp tonight. But yeah, they want to take my life. Man like Eamon Edwards, man like Vincent Rapp, man like Sir Lloyd Roberts. All these people, they want to kill me. They want to shoot the messenger. It's too funny, you know. But yeah, I've been fasting today over that. You know, I kind of woke up doing that anyway, and then last couple of days, as I said, particularly today as well, I've had a good 3 calls from different sources. Yes, my sister in SP, from different sources talking about rats collaboration and various people that want to actually take my life. But as the old songwriter says, you know, I have to walk this lonesome journey. I've got to walk it by myself, and no one else can walk it for me. I have to walk it by myself. That's how the old time church people sing. My granny would have said that. We've got to walk this journey on our own, and God alone see and know, my people. They cannot stop the time. Cannot stop the time. I got 3 daughters. Yeah, my son probably wouldn't be too involved, but I got 3 daughters, and each and one of them are trained that if anything happens to me, down to my 11-year-old, they will take up the cause. They have my passwords, they have everything. So let them see if they can stop everybody. I will just keep passing the baton. We'll keep passing it, my brothers and sisters, until we know unequivocally that this job is done. And we're so close, as I keep saying, you know. I gotta walk it by myself, and no one else can walk it for me. My God, I have to walk it by myself. Blessed love, my brothers and sisters. So we are going to rehash, as I said in the description, the story of David Gray. I don't know if you guys remember on my Instagram, for those of you that follow me on Instagram, there's a picture of a brother, but we'll get to him in a minute. That's just the kind of forerunner, just to get you prepared of the main topic of the evening. Is going to be a disgraceful individual called David Gray, aka David Tully. But before we do that, I want to kind of tie up some loose ends from last week. I don't know if you remember, I was saying that was a sister that was going to come on and kind of give her opinions as a mixed race sister as to what was going on with this Mussington woman. I mean, they've even got worse this week. Do you know, this Truths and Rights damn donkey, this dog, accuses me of bullying. I've answered this man 4 times after he trolled my pages for months. Him and Double D was in a tryst for many months before I even paid this guy attention. 4 times, I think, I do believe. 4 or 5, I can't remember. It ain't no more than that, yeah, that I've answered this for. Yet this man has 45 separate videos talking about me in the most disgusting of ways, calling me hoe, calling me all kind of stuff. Yet these people feel they want to come and tell me about defamation of character. I'm a racist, I'm a hoe, I'm a bitch, I'm all of these things. I don't think they know the definition of the term. Yep, David Gray and David Tully are the same people. Yes, they are. Somebody says he also calls himself Blue or Miniman. Well, that's in Miniman. What a strange name. We'll get to him in a minute, my sister. Right now, I want to call SP to the room if she's here, because we're going to tie up some business. She was supposed to come on last week. Bless, sister lost her phone, and well, she misplaced her phone, I should say, and wasn't able to come on, bless her. So we're going to bring her on just to tie up that loose end from last week, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the show. If you're here, sister, come on the live. If not, we'll move straight over to this fool. Honestly, I tell you, do you know what? It just never ends, my brothers and sisters. The amount of... Sometimes you think to yourself, am I going mad? Am I actually going mad? You know? Am I actually going mad? Do we... yeah, please follow that link that I sent you, my sister. Follow that link. And it should bring you into the waiting room, and we can take it from there. Moderator, don't know where moderator is. Just hope we don't need too much moderation tonight. I have a feeling we will. But yeah, just waiting for the sister to come on, and I'm going to call my moderator and see if she's available. Brilliant. We got ya. Yes, sister.
Greetings.
My beautiful queen.
Can you see me? I'm sitting in the car. I've just had the
battery
charged up. Okay.
I can see you. So you're just tying up the loose ends from last week. I just wanted to get you on because we really needed that level from last week.
Yeah.
You know? Really needed it. And you've had time as well, haven't you, to go through?
I have had time. I have had time to look on, what's his name? Lies and Nonsense TV. My gosh. I never in my life have I seen something like it. I don't know what you done to the man. Honestly,
he has that effect on people that you've never seen anything like it. You're absolutely gobsmacked when you see the ridiculousness of this guy's foolishness. Absolutely.
Honestly, it's and the bullying, like, and every comment, that I've pulled him up on, or like everything I've pulled him up on in the comments, he's just deleted it. He's just straight up deleted it. Everyone I've put, he deletes it. Like, he's got one up of you saying that basically you made up that video for the awards that you've been nominated for, that you made that up. And, he's done his research, and you and your girls, you sat down and made this video. It took me like 2 seconds to go on Google, type in the Black Awards, scroll through their Twitter page and see that it's a legit video. Exactly. So I've copied that link and put it on there, and also under someone's comment who says, yeah, this is a bogus award, so people can see. No, it's not. Like, follow this link. It takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
He's deleted it every time. I've put it up there about 4 times. My man keeps deleting. And then accusing you of bullying the woman Kerry. The first time I heard her full name, because he's saying that you use her full name because she didn't mention any names when she done her, like a comeback video or whatever. But he's put her full name on her page, and that's the first time I've seen her full name. What are you talking about? I can't believe it. It's just nonsense. And the Kerry woman, my gosh, I was so upset. Because I was meant to tune into that live that day. I missed it, but I watched it later that same evening, and I could not believe it. Like, the woman was clearly had been drinking, which is fine. Some people need a drink to build up Dutch courage, as she said. Cool, do that, but it just wasn't coming across in a professional manner. Like, if you want to come across and put your professional opinion across, that's fine. But the way that she done it, and it really bothers me when people come on and it's very clear that they have only been watching from the last few videos, because you've said from the get-go, this is not a standard courtroom. You represent the victims and their story. Like, you said this from the get-go. Who don't like it, unsubscribe. Don't tune in. It's not difficult. Like, and I watched some of her videos that the guy put on his page, and it's just very much well, me, I'm a victim and I'm a survivor, and this is how you should do it. And if you don't do it this way, how dare you?
That's
like,
exactly.
I was like, no, this woman's not right. She's not right.
There's been such an outpouring of different people that know her, men and women in different capacities, that talk about her narcissism, her utter destruction socially. She just pulls out with absolutely everybody. First of all, she draws people in. with a sympathy card. It's like, I'm a victim, everybody's bullying me, everybody's racist against me because I'm mixed race. And people find out very quickly that actually you're the person perpetrating and bullying and doing all this in the name of righteousness. And the point is, she can't be professional because she ain't one. She's, you know, anyone can. If I decided today that I wanted to be a self-styled guru for people that wanted to go into the rainforest and I knew all about it, I can do that. Anybody can do that. Literally, and I think it's a very dangerous precedence that we set if we allow people that are unhealed to be leading people that are so vulnerable and need healing.
100%.
Suicidal, you know, it's very dangerous precedence. But like you said, truths and rights, or lies and wrongs, is an utter fool. And how can you say that this is the Black Awards are endorsed and sponsored by the Royal Air Force. And like you said,
I've seen the logo. I've seen their logo.
Yeah, it only takes, and that's why I played it at the beginning. You know, and I've got all these other people that would clearly sue me. You've got Courtney Griffiths, who's a top QC, who's in the same category as me for community achievement. You know, Courtney Griffiths oversaw the Damilola Taylor case and all sorts. We've got the mayor of Liverpool, who's in the same category as me. So I'm going to go and put these people's images up. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he's got mental health problems, though.
He's definitely, because one of his other videos, he's got a video called "Who is Truth and Rights TV." So I clicked it.
Great man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I clicking through. You know, I'm not watching the whole thing. I'm just kind of clicking through the video. I clicked on one part. My man said something like, "Yeah, and that's how I know that I'm the savior. That I am the savior because I can connect with Black people and white people, and I am the savior." And I thought, no, this is unhinged, two unhinged people together, just feeding off of each other, and it's wow, it's very dangerous and toxic.
But tell us what your background is like in terms of where you're coming from. What are you?
So I'm mixed race, mixed heritage. My dad is half Bayesian, half Grenadian. I've been brought up by my white mum. Me and Sister Afua was having a conversation the other day. Sorry, I'm speaking to the people, not even I'm talking to you. But me and Sister Afua was having a conversation the other day about maybe mixed race people not being seen as Black. But my mum, who is white, has always raised me in a way where she's told me that I'm Black. Like, people are going to look at me and think that I'm Black. A racist white person is not going to look at me and think that, oh, you know, you're mixed race, you're going to get a blight. So my mom has raised me as a Black woman, and she's always installed certain things into me. Like, she's pointed out stuff to me, like in, for example, Disney videos, like the lack of representation, especially as a child, when I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to be that princess. And, you know, you go and get the face paint and they want to put all the white face paint on the bright red lips. My mom wasn't having any of that, none of that. So my mom's raised me in a certain way. And yeah, I have to respect her for that. And
your mom's a G.
All the other white women who, you know, install that in their children, because it's very important. And it is hard as a mixed race person sometimes, because there are people that are like, well, no, you're not Black. And then there's people who are like, no, you're not white. And it's like, well, what about me? Mixed race, to me, mixed race is not a color, because I have a mixed race friend who I would say she's white. I have 3 children. My eldest son looks Black. My middle son is the same complexion as me. My youngest son looks white. They're all mixed race. Yeah. So to me, mixed race is not a color. So to say that, oh, you know, because you're mixed race, you're not Black, that's not my mindset, because that's not how I've been brought up. So, you know.
And did you see the clip that I played last week of the Trinidadian comedian?
No, I missed it.
I'm going to play it for you now, sis, if I can get it.
Yeah, let me have a look, please.
And I need you to tell me, as a mixed race sister that's pretty switched on to most things, if this is something that any mixed race person should take and accuse Black women of being racist for posting it. Because what happened was there was a set of sisters in a group that she's in that posted this video of a Trinidadian man, you know, of all people, like a Caribbean guy, talking about a red skin woman. And she took it to vilify and gaslight and tried to crucify these sisters. I mean, just took it way too far. Even though they went, oh, sorry, my bad, sorry, you're offended. Let me remove it from the WhatsApp group. We're all in. And we're sorry we offended you. But she weren't good enough for her. She wanted to do what she does. So she went onto Facebook, she went onto social media, tried to crucify these people. And it was very, very damaging for them, you know. Very accusing people of bullying and all of this. She's just totally projecting her own words onto us. I can try and find it. I'll try and find it and play it for you, and then you tell me what you think, sis.
I will.
All right, let's see. Cool.
So a police officer and a coast guard shoot one another for this red girl. And you know what? She go in and take her next man. What is he saying? Is your boy Jamel Entertainer here. And fellas, why we still doing this? Why we still doing this? These two men really out here like if it's the Wild Wild West and will kill each other over this red girl, boy? Now, obviously the younger generation lacking sense. So allow me to drop a little quote on here that changed my life. It goes like this. The pussy is never yours. It's just your turn. I don't think them fellas and them think this true, you know. Because them should have leave that scenario being friends. Not going to meet Jesus and red woman again. You know servicemen not good. You know there's dirtiness. You know they like plenty. So what? But you're so bad, you want to take two. Oh gosh, if it's all the service you want, go buy a gynecologist, go to church if it's all the service you want in your body. Big man thing, I tired see this happen. Fellas, we had to think more logical than this. Watch me, I employ any young man underneath the song that my voice to never be so stupid that you willing to risk your entire life for the sake of a nanny. Remember fellas, the pussy is never yours. It's just your turn.
Red skin, meaning light skinned woman. Could mean one of my daughters. You've seen my daughters. I've got two light skinned ones. How do you feel about that as a mixed race sister?
As a mixed race person, that didn't really faze me. That was more amusing than anything. But red skin, I think like it's a cultural thing to call someone red skin. It's just, you know, there is different tones. We all know there's different tones of blackness.
Right.
What's the issue you're pointing out? I don't see why she would be so pressed by that.
It's like your non-voice, right?
No way.
The point though that there's different shades of blackness, and you know when it comes on to very light-skinned black people who probably got that way through slavery and the multiple race, the multiple race mixing and whatever, then practically all of us are mixed race in that regard. You know what I mean? Like little coolie here, little red skin there. These are all Caribbean terms that are historic out of our experience of slavery. Right. This isn't targeted to mixed race people. But because this individual didn't grow up with a white mum who taught her about her black side, because this individual didn't even grow up in a black area. You understand what I'm saying in terms of Caribbean culture? They're going to take it like any white person, like any PC white person. You
like, oh my gosh,
it's unbelievable.
Everything. No,
if anything, it was more of a sexist joke than anything else.
I was thinking that the race thing was not the most like the thing that stood out to me the most, but okay. I feel like this woman will just take anything and run with it. Whatever she can try and garner up sympathy for or a following or make a hoo-ha over, then I don't know. I don't know if she's got too much time on her hands. She's not getting any counselling jobs. So I don't know what's going on. But yeah, about the counselling as well, that's what I want to go back to as well, actually. Because she made a big deal about the fact that you said, you know, the children of the people being accused are not your responsibility, and they're not. If you go to a all right, if you go to I had a good example in my head the other day. All right, if you go to you go to somewhere because you've been experiencing racism, and then the person who's been racist to you gets pulled up, there's not like a aftercare system for that person's family. Like how are you expected to do everything? I don't understand. And that seemed to be like, you don't care about the kids. And you know, she thought, oh, let me really drive on that point. Oh, Afua said she doesn't care about the children. Did you hear it? Like, allow it. Anyone who knows Afua knows, number one, that you're about black men. Number one, like from when I've met you, like you've been like, yeah, I'm not a woman's woman, you know, you click with guys more,
That's right.
You love your black men, you love your kings, and like that's something that you said from before all of this even started anyway. So I know that about you. I know how you are with the kids, like, so it's just nonsense. It's like people are trying to find any little thing, say, oh yeah, well, you're doing it wrong because you're not doing it this way how I think you should. Okay, then what are you doing? Nothing. Okay, shut up then.
Exactly.
Shut up. Sit down. Exactly. No one said that, you know, this is not gonna be suited for everyone, as most things are. Like, it's not one cap fits all. So if you don't like how this is getting done, then unsubscribe. Like, it's not that hard. And if you really think it's an issue, then set up your own thing and do something about it as well. Like, don't just be on my sister's case about what she's doing and what she's not doing. Do something, physically do something about it. Set up your own organization or your own aftercare thing, or offer, like, okay, this is maybe an aftercare team that you could maybe work with, that could, you know, like, it's just unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary, and that's the point, isn't it? We're building that. We've come from scratch just 1 year ago, just over a year ago, from scratch, with no funding, no coffers, nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it takes a lot of time to get the right people on board on your own. You understand what I'm saying?
And like you said, no funding, because I think I was the first person who was like, no, sis, you need a GoFundMe page, and I made you a GoFundMe page. I think I made it before I actually told you that I made it. I was like, no, because I know that the work that you're putting in, and it's voluntary, and I know that it's a lot. And to get to, I think, the stage that you're going to be at, you did need that extra help, because it's hard doing it voluntary on your ones, and everyone be like, well, are you doing this? Are you doing that? It's not fair. It's not
100%. It's very draining. You're breaking up a bit, man. You're breaking up a bit, sis. But that's the point, isn't it? Because, sorry, I put up the GoFundMe because
your mic's gone really fuzzy. I don't know if it's my phone.
Huh?
Your mic has gone really fuzzy. Is it just me?
My mic buzzing?
I can't see the comments, so I don't know what everyone's saying.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me, though? Can you hear me, sis?
I can hear you, but it's just... I
think your mic's buzzing a little bit. Yeah. Hello? I think you got a little bit of a connection problem there, beloved.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's what it is. I know when you're on the move, it can go like that sometimes.
That might be what it is.
Yeah, it can go like that sometimes. But I was going to make a point. We lost sister. Come back if you can, sis. I was going to make a point about that. You know, it's important that the sister bears witness. From the Instagram days, my sister here made a GoFundMe page without even telling me, and then she presented it, and of course, you know, we raised some money for the march through that. But when you listen to these nasty individuals who do nothing more than to confuse the waters, muddy the waters, you're hearing that I made a GoFundMe page for myself because I wanted to take money from the Black community and use it for myself, and just nonsensical stuff. Yeah, so if sister can't come back, that's all good. No worries. If she does, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of just get that on, get that sister's opinion, tie up from last week, as I said. And I actually am not going to mention these people anymore, especially Right and Wrongs or whatever his name is, because he really, really craves the attention. None of his videos get any decent views unless he's talking about me. Total clout chasing. He's even gone as far and as desperate enough to go on each of my videos and drop links to his videos. I mean, really, you pathetic individual. And he's in here at the moment. You can guarantee that he's actually in here at the moment. He's got several different names. Yeah, and from Telly Belly to some other crazy name. This guy just doesn't stop. It's so desperate. It's unbelievable. So desperate. I know some of the people have trolled him in my comments saying, you know, what is it about Afua? What is your obsession? You know, what is your obsession with Afua? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So yes, my brothers and sisters, I'm going to mute up just 1 second. I just kind of want to find out where my moderator is. Double D, that's why you allow him. You have to allow him because him head not good. Him chip out Double D. I think that's what it is, you know. Give me a minute there, my brothers and sisters. I'm just going to try and find out where moderators got to. Oh, I didn't actually see you there, Keeks. We've got one moderator in. That's fantastic. All right. So yeah, we can manage with one. I'm sure other sister will be in as well. Didn't see you there, Keith. Sorry about that, sweetheart. So let me move on to David Gray. David Gray. I remember when I put up his Instagram picture, and I put it out there. It was an old picture, and I was very, very aware that okay, cool. Okay, I was very, very aware. One second, my brothers and sisters. The guest that we've got coming on is just messaging me. So I'm gonna, okay, cool. So I was very, very aware. In fact, before I get to that, because sister's not quite ready yet, I want to talk about very quickly. I'm not going to go too much into it at this point, but there's an individual from Northwest London, Harsden, Church Road area and so on, called Sam Lewis, aka Teenager. And I want all the Northwest London / West London people to pay attention, because this man is a very, very, very serious and prolific perpetrator / pedophile. Very serious guy. He was also a big drug dealer. He's in the Church Road area in Northwest London. I know that area very well. I have family there, so I'm very, very aware of these people. But this guy is just the pits. I mean, he's almost like a Vincent Rat of Northwest London. Absolutely disgraceful individual. And we're kind of putting a call out. I'm not going to go too far into the story at this point. I'm not going to go really far into him. You will be hearing more about it. But I kind of want to cast a net at the moment. I want to cast a net at the moment and see what comes back, because we've got 3 people that have approached, but I believe it's a lot bigger than these 3 sisters who've told me about him. I believe it's way bigger than that. So I'm not going to go too into it now, but I want to put that name out there. Sam Lewis, aka Teenager, who is from Northwest London, very prolific. He's even featured in a book called Crack Something, because he was so prolific back in the day, you know. So yeah, he's very well known, very, as I say, very prolific, and very notorious. So if any sisters have been the victims of this depraved individual, then please, 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 please contact me on Instagram at AfroRose69 or at Afua Speaks 69. Sister Sean, join us back if you can. Your battery died, bless you. If you got battery, join us back, sis. But yeah, that individual, please, my sisters, if you've been a victim of Sam Lewis, aka Teenager of Northwest London, please hit me up on Instagram and DM me and let me know. Tell me your story. We really need to catch this guy, because he's still doing it. He's definitely still doing it. I don't know if sister's coming back on, just to finish up what she was saying before her battery died. Hopefully she is. I am so tired today, my brothers and sisters. Honestly, you know, when you've been fasting all day, you kind of slow down. Oh, okay. All right, sis. Sis is at the ATM. Oh, sorry, not ATM. At ATM at the moment. Honestly, all these acronyms, I'm so not up on them. Yeah, man, it's just so many of these people, and then we've got Birmingham to do. I actually want to bring a kind of mini march before this year's march. I was going to say next year, before this year's march on October the 16th. I'd love to go to Birmingham. We need to go to Birmingham, even if it's just a small cohort of us that go up there. But there's so much happening in Birmingham, so much stuff that I get from Birmingham. But you know, I have to be very a lot of the Birmingham sisters, it's a very small town. Let's not forget that. It's not like you could just leave South London and, like you could just leave South London and go somewhere else. It's a small town. So we have to be very careful with Birmingham in terms of protecting some of those sisters' identities. All about the Black blessed love. Glad to see you, my sister. I know between you and Keats, you don't take no prisoners up in this. So yeah. I'm literally just waiting for our guest to prepare herself. Let us give this sister some love. This sister is such a strong and courageous individual, honestly. She's going to come on and tell us her story in a few short minutes. And I'm not going to say too much about who, what, where, why until she does come on, because I prefer for her to tell us. And I know she must be kind of just, preparing herself and getting herself in the zone and so on and so forth. My brothers and sisters, we need to put in place infrastructure. That's the first thing that we really, really need to do. Because, with all the best intentions, I can sit here and make lots of promises about what I'm going to do, from what I'm not going to do. But without funds, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. We have a helpline that we're trying to fundraise for at the moment. We have support services that are on board waiting to be able to receive referrals from our helpline, and I'm constantly working in the background with partners that will be a part of that, and so therefore we need to get this thing off the ground, my brothers and sisters. And as I keep saying, I would prefer if we did that ourselves. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I'm not really about going cap in hand. I'm not really about going cap in hand to the powers that be, or our enemies, if you like, the state, which I do believe there are enemies in terms of progression for us as a community, or even being able to support us in any way, especially when it comes to some more of the controversial issues. I do believe that that we need to be just doing it for ourselves. Even when you go for funding, there's always some weird proviso, some targets that are set up to help you to fail, dictation of who you must work with. Who you must work with and who you mustn't, what time you can open. Our community doesn't work that way. When I used to run the Brixton Drug Project back in the day on Stockwell Road, I used to open that project sometimes at 11 o'clock at night. Why? Because that was the time the community needed it. Crack users at that time did not operate between 9 to 5, So we have to sometimes think outside the box with these things. And what I realized from years in public service, years in working in statutory and voluntary sector organizations, in clinical organizations, what I realized is that we are often set up to fail. And it's just better we do things for ourselves. It really, really is. Add this sister back to the stream. Yes, my sister. Oh, you're stable now.
I had my headscarf on. My hair's a bit mad.
Yes, sis.
Hey. Yeah, sorry, Mom.
I'm glad we can see you better. Otherwise, truths and wrongs would say that you're really a light-skinned black girl and you're not rich. Come on, so we can really see your texture.
Yeah,
right now, my sister. And beautiful too. Honestly.
Oh, bless.
Well, I can't remember where we left off, sis.
Yeah, me neither. I was saying, because your phone was cracking up a bit.
Was it me or you? I don't even know.
I think it was me. I think where my battery was going, I think that's what it was. Yeah. What was we talking about? So my headscarf's really flat on my head. It's all good. But yeah, I think we was talking about the funding.
Oh, that was it. The GoFundMe, which I kind of explained once you came off. But you were talking about that actually.
Yeah. Oh, God, it is what it is, guys. It just is what it is. Okay. The GoFundMe. Yeah, I was saying that I set that up because I know that the work Sister Afua puts in off her own back. At the time, Sis was, still setting up in Tanzania. Just moved to a new country, still setting up kids to look after. Still moving to a new country, trying to establish like regular income and stuff. Like I know how it was going, so and then plus all of this, you're up all night, you got DMs to answer, and yeah, you deserved it. You definitely deserved it. And
and it was helpful towards the march as well. But as you can see, that march costs a lot more than 1,300 and whatever we raised at the time.
Yeah.
A lot more. So a lot of that came out of my own funds. A lot of it did.
Yeah.
And I thank you, because this sister is A-class warrior. Let me tell you that for nothing. You know, we've been on the battlefield together and everything, my sister. Alive.
Yeah, you inspire me, sis. Trust me, you inspire me. From the day we met at Trafalgar, I was like, oh my gosh, she's this woman. What do you need me to do? Tell me what to do, sis. Yeah.
But again, from the day we met at Trafalgar, you know, kindred spirits, and you just see yourself in somebody's temperament and spirit. You know, your lion heart, sis. That's what I picked up on that day. And we were strangers when we kind of our paths crossed, right?
Yeah, yep.
100%. But yeah, this is a sister of worthy proportions, trust me. And since then we've been through a lot of wars. A lot of wars, you know. We won't necessarily mention here. But there's definitely been a journey going on. But I thank you, sis. I thank you so much.
Thank you, sis, and thank you for everything you do. I think I've come on one of your lives before, and I've said, you know, that I've been a victim of sexual abuse when I was younger, and it's not necessarily something that I want to deal with. Yeah, everyone handles things in different ways, so it's not necessarily something that I want to bring up or take to the police at the moment. But for me, it was understanding how it's affected me as a person and the way that I go about things and how it affects my behavior as an adult. Not to say that I move mad, but maybe in certain situations, in relationships and stuff, how my how these things have affected me and the way I might react to certain things. And yeah, it just made me analyze a lot of stuff. And even from you doing it, even though I haven't, you know, confronted anyone, I just feel a lot more clarity. And yeah, a lot more, okay, like more understanding of myself. And yeah, just understanding that certain things that happened that affected maybe my behavior, things that I've done that necessarily wasn't my fault. And, you know, yeah, it's just helped me to process it. And that goes for a lot of things, not just necessarily this, but as an adult, you do try and find ways to, you know, understand why you behave. Well, not everyone, but you try to reflect on maybe things that happened in your childhood that are maybe coming out in your behavior as an adult. And I think that's always important, self-reflection. And yeah, you doing this really helped me, actually. And it's not something that I had really dwelled on or thought about before, but it really brought it to the forefront and made me analyze myself, and yeah, helped me not overcome it, but just understand and just have more of a level of understanding and just clarity. Like I said,
it's been a massive learning curve for everybody, including myself. You know, I thought I was the expert before all of this. I'd worked heavily with people that experience childhood trauma in various fields, including sexual abuse. And I thought I'd seen and heard it all. I know I'd at one point I worked quite heavily with victims of satanic sexual abuse, people from Cornwall and, you know, these places. And you hear some serious stories there, you know. But I just thought I'd seen and heard it all. And this has shown me that the rabbit hole just keeps going deeper. It really, really does. When it comes onto our community, in terms of the African Caribbean community, it's a big taboo subject. People go, and why are you only talking about black women? Well, I'm only talking about black women because nobody else ever has. In that way. Do you know what I mean? We've never had this conversation. And when it comes onto mainstream services, it is geared towards European women. It's not geared towards black women. That's why I talk about black women. I'm from this community. I know what the community needs because I'm part of it. And I understand that it's such a taboo subject within families, within the community. And obviously, the outpouring that you've seen in terms of the backlash is obvious that it was needed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Because we've still got the same. Can you imagine that 2 generations later from Windrush? Yeah. Second generation later from Windrush is still the same mindset, the same victim blaming, the same with these youngest. People, we are the youngest of the Windrush, and we've got the same foolishness going on. Of course, we have to break the yoke, sis. Have to break the yoke, and that's why it's been allowed to be prolific and to continue in the way that it has, till even a younger like yourself, you know, you're pretty much same age as one of my daughters, can come back and still experience this foolishness and not feel able to speak out. We have to change.
100%.
And we have to change the attitude, not just of the girls being able to speak up, but the attitude of the brothers. You got 3 beautiful sons that I know you're raising as kings. You know, we had a sister come on last week, Heaven, like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember Heaven.
With King Fox, her son.
She was at the march, wasn't she?
She was at the march as well, yeah. But you know, even that work that she's doing there with her king, with her boy child, is significant work. Lots of people DM'd me and didn't agree with it. Oh, why is he up this late and whatever? Leave the sister with her choice. He's clearly able to process it. Clearly able to process it. I mean, like, that boy was obviously mentally above his time.
Yeah,
you know? I do believe that the younger the better. As soon as your child can understand these issues, you need to be telling them that.
Yeah, and each parent will know their own child as well. You will know when it's suitable to discuss certain things with your child, because that's your child, and you know for yourself and for your child when it's appropriate. So no one should be speaking and saying, oh, why is she doing this and why is she doing that? That's not your child. That's not your child. So, you know, yeah.
Somebody here is putting up, they've put up, Afua, I noticed in the comments, people were asking Kerry if she was drunk and can she tell them your page so they can decide for themselves. Yeah, I think this was something to do with her Facebook. I think when she'd edited the live to kind of suit her narrative on her Facebook post.
Of course she did.
Of course she did. Yeah, that's what manipulators do. But
like, it was obvious she'd been drinking. Like, it was obvious. It was well, when I watched it, it was probably like 2 a.m. I was up working, but it was late when she come on. So she said, like, yes, maybe I did need a drink to come on. Maybe I did. So what? So if you was drinking, just say that then, babes. Like,
I actually didn't see that. You know, I saw.
Yeah, no, she said in one of her videos, like, yeah, maybe I did need a drink. Maybe that's my thing to you know, make me feel confident. Maybe that's what I do. So what? So if it is, then that's what it is. But babe, she was slurring your words and like. It's
But when I saw the first one that she did, there was an early one. The first one she did, she actually said that it wasn't about drink, that she was suffering from anxiety. So which one is it? Do you know what I'm saying? It's what it is. But yeah,
I don't know if anxiety makes you. I get anxious as well, and I find it difficult talking in public. I feel like now, because I can only see you on the screen, I feel like it's just me and you talking. But if this was like a public forum, I couldn't stand up and speak in front of people like that. I would stumble on my words, like, you know.
But stumbling on your words is a big difference to slurred speech.
Right.
Like when you stumble on your word, you kind of stumble.
Right.
But if your speech is slurred, it's slurred. You're inebriated. Nobody's in any doubt what inebriation looks like, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it was very clear that there was issues there. And another point that she made was that you didn't deal with her like a victim, and, you know, you didn't offer her any aftercare as a victim after she told you she was a victim. But it was just I don't know. It was just all. It was all a bit mad. I don't think she should have come on the live at the time. It just wasn't the right time. But the message that she tried to put across, it could have been put across in a much better way, a more positive manner, instead of just criticizing what you're doing, telling you that you're doing it wrong and this is the way to do it because I am a victim. And, you know, a lot of us are victims. A lot of us are survivors. A lot of us.
Right.
But it's not for us to tell you how you should be running this campaign, because this is your campaign that you are running in the way that you feel is best and the way that you feel the victims want you to handle it. And you are doing the work for the victims and the survivors.
1 in 3 of us are survivors.
1 in 3. Backside. It's sad, but I can believe it. Even from the march, there was a lady that stood up and spoke, and she said it was the first time she had spoke and told her story. And the lady, she was much older lady, no disrespect, I'd say maybe late 50s. And I was thinking, to carry that for that amount of time and to only feel confident enough to say it in a public place, like we're in Big Brixton on stage speaking her truth, and it was just that got to me. I think at that stage, I was just like, I just burst into tears. I had to go off to the side. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so deep for someone to be carrying it for so long and not address it. And yeah, just a sense of relief and, yeah, it's just nice. It's nice. So yeah, there's a lot more people supporting than there is criticizing and doubting.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's important, sis.
100%.
But yes, it's blessed love, blessed love.
Blessings, blessings. Thank you for having me.
All right, hon. You
All
take
right,
care.
bless everyone.
All right, darling.
Sis. Love.
Bye. Yes, and there we have it. So I'm just going to try to get hold of our sister here. I hope she's okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute up people just very quickly. Right, people. So yes, so without further ado, we're going to talk about David Gray. David Gray nastiness. You know, it was such a backlash of people saying you're a liar. Oh, you know, that information you're putting out is wrong. He was found not guilty, blah, 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 blah. The usual trolling rubbish. You see, people, do not, I repeat, do not swear for another man. Don't do it, because none of you were there when he was doing his nastiness in the dark. So I'm going to bring on somebody right now, and I'll allow her to introduce herself. Blessed love, my sister. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Good. Good. So we've got your name there. Everyone can see that your name's Tasha Gray.
Yeah.
So I'm going to allow you, sis, to just kind of tell us what your relationship is with David Gray.
So David is actually my dad's younger brother. He's the last child for my grandmother. Yeah, that's who David.
That's it. So he's your uncle, basically. He's your uncle. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, he's my uncle.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, sometimes, you know, we're not defined by blood. Really, people say, "Oh, blood is thicker than water," and sometimes it is. But I always say that friends are the family that we choose. We don't always choose this. And so the post that I put up on Instagram was alluding to the fact that he was on the run back, I think, in 2012. I only used the image because it was the only image that I had at the time.
Don't believe. I mean, I could possibly be wrong. 2012. To be honest, I'm not really specific about the dates.
Yeah, that's irrelevant, really. But he was on the run for something. They put out a bulletin
for a very. To be fair, his whole life he's been running. That's just the type of person he is. That's the type of personality that he has. Anybody that knows him to the capacity that I would know him would actually know it, and they'd be like, well, yeah, it's that is true.
Right. That's the point, isn't it? I think. So all these people that say, yeah, I know him, I grew up with him, he's not guilty of this, and you know, this is the narrative that keeps putting victims down and silencing them from our own community.
Absolutely. And I will hold my hands up myself and say, I've even been guilty of protecting him. But now I would probably say that I was protecting him. So I had a very, very close relationship with my grandparents, which would be his mum and dad. So I was raised in that household. I was, you know, if you want to say favourite grandchild.
Yeah.
So I was like quite spoilt by my grandparents. I was always there. You know, I was actually like a nanny's girl. Like, I was for both of my grandparents, but more my grandmother. But also, unfortunately, that's her last child. So she's, you know, as a mother, you're supposed to protect your children. However, when they're wrong, you're supposed to stand up and say, do you know what? They are wrong. Wrong is wrong and right is right. So
absolutely. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what do you do? What you know?
So I'm a mum of 2 boys. I am a working mum. I'm actually an air hostess. So I do lots of traveling. Yeah, and that's pretty much me, really. I do teaching on the side, delivering training for people that potentially want to become cabin crew. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, so very together, obviously. You know, you're going to be a very, very together person to be able to do those kinds of jobs, and to also mother 2 boys and what have you. So, you know, they're not going to be able to throw stones at you like they did with Peter Bailey's victim and try to say that you're unhinged or you're whatever. Honestly, you're 100% straight. Yeah.
If I'm honest, I mean, to be honest, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And I believe that I'm not, and I haven't been, the only victim to David Gray. That I know. However, unfortunately, there are others that are maybe not so brave. They're not as brave as me, that would actually talk it and talk it up. Because actually, looking back to the start of it, originally when this first came out in the newspaper, I was just a teenager. I was maybe about 14, 15. I was super embarrassed. Everybody knew he's my uncle. And, you know, even I was like, no, it's not true. It's not true. But it's embarrassing. At the time, it was just embarrassment. And at that time, my family was so close, super, super close. Because, like, my grandfather was alive. He's passed now, unfortunately. And I will mention, I know that he'd be very proud that I've spoken up to. But it kind of felt, you know, because we was taught that that's what you do. You stand for your family. However, unfortunately, I was just a young, confused teenager. And as I got older, I realised, well, actually, this isn't right. It's not right. So I just see this is my time to speak up and my time to say, well, actually, no, this wasn't okay. And it's not right. And it's not okay. And actually, I don't think he deserves the support that he gets from unfortunately from his mother. But I would say that actually she's just as bad. In fact, I would say, as much as it's hurtful to say, because that is my grandmother, she's worse because she's covering it up. And instead of calling everybody the liar, maybe, you know, she needs to sit down and think about it. You know, like I said, I've got 2 boys. Would I swear for my boys? No, you can't swear for no one but yourself.
Yes.
You cannot swear for nobody but yourself. You can't swear for your children. You can't swear for your mum. You can't swear for your dad. You can't swear for your cousin. You know, and I've seen people that, oh no, I could take Christ off the cross and blah, blah. You cannot swear for no human being that walks this earth apart from yourself.
Yes, 100%.
And that's just how I see it.
So tell us, sis, in your words, You know, what was your experience with this vile man?
So I don't really want to go into too much detail, because actually it's quite disturbing. But he was now looking back, he was a very sexual teenager. Lots of girls. And actually he was treated like an adult, although he was a child. He had quite a lot of say as a teenager. He was very spoiled, very, very spoiled child. Not just spoiled by his mum, though. I won't just blame it on his mum. He was spoiled by his brothers, and also he was spoiled by his sister, who is my auntie, who's my dad. She's the eldest of, well, she's older than my dad, who actually I'm very, very close with. And my auntie, when I told my auntie, like my auntie's known about this for years too. And my auntie used to always say to me, tell, like talk to tell my nan. And then one day I did try to tell my nan, and she basically said, you know, I can't remember the exact words, but kind of a bit like, oh, well, get over it kind of thing. And I said to her, well, you don't know how it feels. Has anything like that ever happened to you? And she went, yeah, it has. And so what? I've got over it. And brushed it under the carpet. And that was literally the end of it. But she knew deep down what had happened. She knew. But going back slightly, when I was about, I want to say about 7, I remember being in primary school. So my grandmother is a twin. Unfortunately, her twin passed away 2 years ago, or around then. And she has grandchildren of her own. I'm not going to say any names because actually it's not my story to tell for them. Okay, so at the time, they, I believe, told an adult. Which adult they told, I don't know. I'm unaware of that. It was investigated. So one of them at the time was 3. And the other one was about 6. But that's when it was like it had come out. So maybe she was maybe a bit younger, the elder one. So the older one had obviously told, this is what's happened. And my grandmother and her sister had a falling out about it. They never ever spoke again after that. So 2 identical twins never ever spoke again, and she passed away 2 years ago, and never ever spoke to her twin sister, all because of one person that was a predator. So he basically, let me get this right, he basically abused his mum's sister's children, so his cousins, his first cousins. That would have been his first. He was very young, 3 and 6 years old. Very young. Like I said, I won't mention names, but he done it to them, myself, and also 2 more of my cousins that I'm aware of that are also his siblings' children. So real incestuous paedophile. He's disgusting. And it's funny because, like I said, because I was so close to my grandma, I didn't really want to, it was almost like I didn't want to break her heart. That's exactly what it is. And I was so obsessed and in love with my grandma that I was scared that I would kind of lose that, which I've lost anyway because of him. He's like a compulsive liar. He actually believes his own lies. He used to do things like, I never forget one day. So my grandma used to go to bingo. At that time, bingo was the thing. You know, my granddad was like an old school person that would be in Brixton on the front line. Very well-known man, very popular, very well liked, very, very well respected. And my grandma used to go to bingo and leave me with him. So he used to look after me, not just me, he used to look after my other cousins too. And sometimes he would even take me with he used to put my pajamas, like I'd have my pajamas on, and I'll never forget, he put I had a pair of dungarees on, and I remember my pajamas, they were yellow. They were a yellow pair of long trousers and a long top, and it was a winter. And he took me to a girls' hostel. I think it was somewhere in Streatham. And I remember one of the girls, there was two girls, but one of the girls that was in the hostel sat in, say, I don't know, one of the rooms with me, and he was in the bathroom with the other girl. And I was only young at this time. And he would always say to me, oh, don't tell. So I was a bit like his little dirty secret holder. And then it was shortly after that he then decided for me to be a victim.
And how old were you at that time, sis?
At that time, I was about six. But when I would never forget, my mum asked me if he'd done that to me, because it had come out about the other ones, and I was going, no, nothing happened. Like, no, it's like he didn't. And then one day, I never forget, my mum was brushing her hair in the mirror, and I turned around and I said to her, Mum, he did. And my mum's face was like it was so like, it was heart, like, just thinking about it now is heart-wrenching to see that, like, my mum's face. And I remember my mum phoning up my other grandmother, who's her mum, saying, oh my God, he did it to my baby, he's done it to my baby, like, what am I going to do? And I remember me saying to my mum, oh, I don't want to go to school. And my mum said, do you know what, we're going to go to school. So we went to the school. My mum told my head teacher what had happened. Obviously, the social services got involved. And I was under a children's psychologist for a long time because of it.
Right. Sort of CAMS or something like that.
Something along that kind of thing. But, you know, everything was all like written then. And I remember it like yesterday. They put me in this room, because remember, there's not loads of technology then. They put me in this room. There was all these different cameras and speakers, and there was this black screen, and they got a dolly. They gave me a dolly, and they'd say to me, show me where he touched you, or show me what he'd done, and I can literally imagine myself in this room now. And the whole time, if I could get that footage back, which I probably could, I know that during that footage, the whole time my head was bailed, because I was just never ever wanted to talk about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't know if some women get this in their head, but one of women's biggest fears is probably to be raped. That's a woman's biggest fear.
100, yeah, certainly right? Mine, yeah.
Biggest fear. And I wouldn't say I was scared of men, but I would say later on in my life that had a very big effect on my relationships, not just with guys in general, but I would say it's probably affected other relationships that I've had, like just general relationships. It's, you know, it's something that I'm not. I used to be embarrassed of, ashamed of. It's just horrible because uncles don't do that stuff. You know, they're not supposed to do them things. And it wasn't till I got older and I had discussions with my cousins, who I'm also very close with, and we'd always say, it's so weird because we'd always say to each other, what do you think about that story with David? And then the other one would go, I think he did it, knowing that he'd done it to them.
Right.
And then they'd say to me, what do you think about it? I'll go, he 100% did it. So we were all saying to each other that he did it, but no one ever held their hand up and said, well, actually, he's done it to me. And I think that I was probably one of the first to say aloud to the rest of them, do you know what? He done that to me. And then they went, did he? He done that to me. So we're all going, and me. So that's how it come around. And that's how it come around.
Yeah. And it just takes one. It usually just takes one person. It sets off a chain reaction, which is actually what's happened in all of the circumstances that we've talked about, to be fair. So you're a brave woman. Brave woman, sis.
But I think that, like, I always think, I don't know, like, I don't want, like, I don't wish any harm to him. I don't wish him to die. I just want him to pay and suffer for what he'd done, because actually, psychologically, mentally and emotionally, do you know how draining it is to carry that burden with you?
Yep.
It's very, very draining, and it becomes very, you know, it makes you, at some point in your life, it makes you dysfunctional. You know, it makes you, maybe, I know it affects people in different ways, but it's just so happens that it's not, you know, I don't take drugs. I've never taken drugs. You know, I drink alcohol, like, you know, when you're going out and stuff like that. But I know my limits. You just don't put you, like, you know, you're always aware of, like, say if I'm out with my friends, I'm always that friend that would be like, you know, I'm not going to get too drunk because I'm going to look after the rest of them so that no men can take advantage. Like, that's the kind of thing, like, and it's put up barriers in front of me just so that, like, now I would say, I wouldn't say I'm cold, but it's had effect on my relationship. To be honest with you, I would say 100% that it's even affected my relationship with my dad to an extent, because when I haven't really spoken about it to my dad. Like, I've never ever gone to my dad and gone, Dad, this is what he's done to me. Like, he knows what's happened, but it's almost, I don't want to tell him, because one, a dad is supposed to protect their child, right? So my dad's going to feel guilty for that. He's going to feel guilty for that. My mum feels guilty for it. That I know. And like I said, as I got older, I started talking about it more with my auntie. And my auntie always told me, and I'm sure she probably wouldn't mind me calling her name, but my Auntie Janice.
She's in the chat today as well, isn't she?
Oh, she's here. I don't know. I don't really.
Yeah, Janice Gray?
Yeah.
She's here.
Oh, she's here. Okay.
Big up, Auntie. Yeah.
So my auntie, I used to say to my auntie, when Nan dies, I'm going to tell my story. And I never forget where I was driving with my auntie. Me and my auntie was driving down Albany Road, and I don't know if she'll ever remember this. She'd come from Jamaica, and we was going somewhere. We drove down Albany Road. We got to the lights at the end, just opposite where the Tesco is, to turn right. And she turned around and she said to me, "Why do you want to wait until his mum dies?" So I said, "Because I don't want to hurt her feelings." And she said to me, "You need to do it before she dies, because she needs to know what a disgusting bastard he is."
Brilliant.
And I just thought to myself, can I do it? And I was iffing and I was butting and I was iffing and I was butting, and I just didn't really have the heart to do it. So that was that. Then I still continued to go around my grandma, but he wasn't really around because he was always in prison or always on the run, always in hiding. He's such a coward. And when I was about 17, I went to my auntie's house, because my auntie used to have like quite a lot of barbecues in the summer, because like she used to always have like kids parties, but you know, like barbecue parties. And I never forget, it was my cousin's birthday. It was a September, and it was really warm around this time because it's the beginning of September. And there was a man in the house, and the guy asked my auntie who I was, and then my auntie said, "Oh, it's my niece." And he went, "Your niece?" He said, and I do not know who this man was, and I would love to know who he was. I can't even remember his name or nothing. And the man said that David had told him that his 17-year-old niece, I was his girlfriend. So he must leave me alone. Now, to me, I can honestly say now he's obsessed with me. He was obsessed with me, because everything that I would do, regardless of me and my nan, he was so jealous. Such a jealous, bitter human being. And every time I had a boyfriend, he would cause a scene or an argument, or he doesn't like my boyfriend, or he doesn't, you know, always a problem, always. And then one time he had a domestic with one of his girlfriends. I won't call her name because I don't really think it's fair, even though she supports him, because she obviously doesn't know any different. But unfortunately, I think she's probably brainwashed, but you know, it is what it is. That's another story. It's not my place.
Other story for other days.
Exactly. Yeah. So they had a domestic, and I can't remember which way round it is. Either I stuck up for her or I stuck up for him. I can't remember which way round it was. But all I remember is walking away in my grandmother's kitchen. The next thing I know, I'm on the floor. He grabbed me by the back of my hair and punched me to the floor. I had a massive black eye. And this was in my 20, like, this is in my older years as I got older.
How old were you at the time when this happened?
I reckon this was probably about 9-10 years ago, maybe. So I'm 36 now. Okay,
so you're about 26-ish.
I was about 26-ish, yeah. So and then when I stood up, I stumbled up. He hit me so hard that I wet myself.
Oh.
And then I panicked. I'm not going to call no names, but I called someone. At the time, my dad was away in Jamaica. And I called someone. And she come to my grandma's house. And my grandma was all for me, like all like trying to help me. But as soon as the police had turned up, and that person had come in the house, she tried to act like to the police, get out my house, get out my house. Like she wasn't on my side no more. Like, get out my house. So cut a long story short, I went to the hospital, and because I had a really bad black eye. I've still got pictures of it. I was under the Moorfields Eye Hospital because of it.
That's how much damage he actually done to your eye.
He fractured my eye socket. That's how hard he hit me. He fractured my eye socket. Then shortly after that, I believe he went to prison, and his mum would call me, because at this time I wasn't speaking with my gran. His mum would call me, begging me to drop the charges. They wrote me a letter that he sent that same girl that used to stick by him, that does stick by him, that he has children with. Sent her to my home address. I was on the phone to my dad, and my buzzer went, and I was like, hold on, Dad, someone's at the door. When I looked at the buzzer, it was her. I was like, oh my God, Dad, it's so-and-so. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, it's so-and-so. So this person who defends him, she had a letter, because the police had told me what it said. It was a bribery letter. They was offering me money, £500 to drop the charges.
This is his baby mother.
His baby mother.
Who was actually on my Instagram defending him. You know what, you wicked woman? Shame, shame, shame on you. Shame on you.
Right.
Go ahead, sis. This gets me so angry. You know, the aiders and the betters.
So she came with the letter. The police took it off of her, and apparently, so they her story, she'd gone back and told my grandmother how I was so aggressive to her, which actually I wasn't. You've come to my house, and if I was, then what are you doing?
What?
Anyway?
Exactly, yeah.
She didn't even get in my building because I didn't answer the door, but yet I was aggressive to her. But she's come into my house with a bribery letter. Doesn't make any sense at all. So then during that time, me and my dad wasn't talking. We'd had a falling out because I was like, you know, why don't you stick up for me? And it wasn't that he wasn't sticking up for me, to be honest. It's that he wasn't here at the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was angry. I just was thinking, like, this man, he striked at me again. He's just, I don't know what his obsession is. I just don't understand.
It's almost like adding insult to injury, isn't it? Because he's abused you as a child and beat you up as an adult. I mean,
as an adult, not to mention in front of my son, my baby at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was bad. Like, it was bad. And my son was talking about it for ages. Do you remember when Uncle David punched you in the face and you wet yourself? Like, that's how much of an effect. Like, it was so embarrassing.
It's an additional trauma for him, surely.
Exactly. But after that, my dad was a bit concerned at the time about his mum, to be fair. I know he was. He's like, oh, I think because she was saying, this is going to kill me now. I'm going to die. I'm like doing all that, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was forced to go on a prison visit to see him. Yeah, I was. And now looking back, I'm like, I'm so angry at myself. But I'm not angry at myself. At the time, I was like, I'll do it just for peace sake. I'll do it, because I was almost like a sheep. You know,
sure.
like I felt like I was being a sheep. I had to do everything that everyone was telling me to do because I was so scared, and I was scared that my nan was going to die and I was going to be responsible for it, and blah blah blah, blah. You know, but when I realised and I stepped outside the picture, and to be honest with you, it was my auntie Jan was the one that really helped me get outside the situation to look inside the situation. And you know, for that alone I have to respect her for that.
I love Auntie Jan already. You know, I just love Auntie Jan. Angel.
I do. I love Auntie Jan as well. So she made me realise, and she was like, she told me, like, it's not normal. Like, you need to, like, you know, my auntie's like a little bit rough, like a bit of rough love, my auntie is. She's very rough love. Like, you know, if you don't, like, she do it like shouting at you, but she's not really she's saying it with love.
Sure, yeah.
That's what she's like. And to be honest, she's probably one of my biggest supporters, like, in regards to this. Without my auntie, I probably couldn't do it. If I'm honest.
Sure.
I really couldn't. But I'm now outside the picture. I can now look inside the picture. And at one point, like I said, I used to be embarrassed, ashamed. And I remember he always used to say to me, if you don't do this, I'm going to tell. And I hadn't even done anything wrong.
This is the classic strategy of theirs. Yeah.
I'm just a little girl. He'd say, and then one time, like, it was almost like he was slaving me out. Go and get that. Go downstairs and get this. He'd be upstairs in his room with his girlfriends. Call you all the way up the stairs. Go and make me a drink. Go and do this. Make me a sandwich. And then one day, bastard, and I hope he sees this bit, he ordered me around so much and asked me to make him a drink and forced me to make him a drink. I didn't want to make him a drink, and I fucking put salt in the drink. And he still used to speak about that. Remember when she put salt in my drink? That's why I put salt in your drink, because I had enough. He was slaving me out.
He's lucky it weren't a lot more than salt. I can tell you.
Well, exactly. If I had the sense now, it would have been more than salt. But I was just and I was like I wasn't even a teenager at that point. And then he was very beating happy. He always used to threaten us with beatings. And I never forget, one day I was in the house and he said that I was rude to him. And I tried to go up the stairs, and I was maybe about year 10, 11 of school, and he dragged me down the stairs by my school skirt. My school skirt come down my legs from like the middle of the stairs. And I mean, I might not look it now, but I was always, anyone that knows me knows I was so tiny. I was little and skinny, small, petite. And he pulled me down the stairs to beat me. But that day, I fought him back. Like, I remember kicking him. Like, where I was on the stairs, I remember I thought, do you know what? I'm going to fight back. And I did. I fought him back. And then I don't remember. He disappeared after that. Probably went to prison or something, because that's where he lived best, in prison. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And then now he goes round making up all these stories about me and my auntie, that where we do this and we try to kill him.
This is what they do. They love to gaslight the victim, especially if you speak out.
I thought to myself,
if you speak out. We saw it in the case of when Karma, don't know if you saw that live, where Karma came on and really leveled the argument.
To be honest with you,
against Solange.
I haven't watched your shows. I'll be
I know.
honest.
Yeah.
Like, it was like I was oblivious.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until one of my cousins had sent me one of the links, and I won't call no names. And I was like, who is this? Like, you know, what is this? So then obviously they explained it to me and they were like, yeah, whatever. And then obviously you and we got in touch and yeah.
Well, you DM'd me and we got in touch that way.
Yeah. And then we obviously spoke and then
and here you are. Here
I am telling my truth. And this is actually my truth.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, before I used to be like, oh, I can't say it. Like, you know, it couldn't leave my mouth. It couldn't leave my lips because I would be so scared. Like, I'd be like, oh my God, that this is going to just ruin so many people's lives and relationships. But now, actually, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I'm stronger.
Yes.
And I'm not scared anymore. Now I'm not scared anymore because now I know, I mean, no one's better than no one, but now I know I'm better than him. He's well beneath me. He is well beneath me. And that is how it will stay. But like I said, I just want him to, he doesn't know shame. He doesn't know shame. He doesn't know limits. And my advice to anybody that this specific man or any other person that's been in a position like this before, you know, people deal with things in different ways. But honestly, I would encourage every woman to just try and speak, like just try. It's took me a long time though, I will say, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. It's took me a long, long time. It's took me a lot of encouragement. It's hard. It is hard. You sleep on it. You think about it. Then, you know, you think, oh, fuck this. I'll forget about it. You know, it's in the past. And then I just be like, no. You know,
it's like there's a burning sense of to achieve justice for yourself, isn't there? Yeah,
exactly that. And now it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's a bit far-fetched. Has anybody ever seen, like, you know, have you seen that Home Alone film when he's walking through and he says, I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
Not afraid. That is how I feel. I feel like I am not afraid anymore. I'm not scared. And
not scared of the perpetrator, not scared of embarrassing yourself, not scared of hurting family, not scared.
No,
I'm not scared.
And
scared. That's what taking your power back leaves you feeling like, because what we always say here is that the shame belongs to him.
Exactly.
You know, and they deposit that fear on the child.
Exactly.
You kind of grow up with that, you know.
Exactly. And the thing is, you know, the horrible thing is he's very abusive to women. He's
clearly
very, very abusive to women and obviously to children. And it's almost like, well, not almost. He actually took my innocence from me.
Yeah.
He took my innocence from me. So just think how many other children and how many other people has he done that to?
That's right. That still feel the fear that you felt.
That are still afraid of him, still scared of him, and still, like, you know, some of them might even watch this and be like, still like, oh, I can't do it.
I would encourage them to come forward. There's safety and there is power in numbers. We saw that on the 16th of October at the march in Windrush Square, you know, when one of the most prolific paedophiles in our history in this country, in the Windrush community, was seen out of the square by many of his victims, you know, and he's a very dangerous man. But we saw him off.
I would also say that if there's anyone that he's done this to, I can promise you, I promise you have my word. If you come, I don't even mind if you message me yourself.
Important, very important. They don't have to message me. You can message Tasha.
Even if you message me myself, I mean, I can't. I wish I could. I wish I could fix his business really myself. Wish I could, but unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
No,
I'm afraid, and unfortunately, these people are very protected. Doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make no sense at all. But I would urge you. I would say, okay, you know what? Drop me a message, and it wouldn't go any further because I know how that feels inside. Like you don't want no one to know. Like you can't tell no one because they're gonna think that I'm terrible or I'm troubled or there's something wrong with me. Like, you know, they're not going to see me in the same light or, you know, they're going to think that I'm disturbed. All of them things, they all run through your head.
Yeah.
But honestly,
the amount of sisters that I speak to and they just only speak to me, they don't want to call out. They don't want any of that. They just want to tell somebody. So I've got loads of women like that.
Exactly.
You know, in the messages that just say, well, I only want to tell you at the moment. And I get that. It comes in stages. Like you said, it took you a very long time. But I want to reel it back a little bit to when you first disclosed to mum, because mum went to the police, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
To tell it, you know, you said you were in a room with a dolly. I know those dolls. I've questioned young people myself using those dolls, which I'm not sure if they help or don't help, but they get it rather than you having to kind of introduce terms or words to a child when they don't know about those words, or you might kind of pollute the evidence of what was said and what wasn't. The dolls are important, but sometimes they're quite humiliating.
I don't think that them dolls are very helpful, but maybe hopefully things have changed. That was in the 90s.
Oh no, the dolls are still there. The dolls just look different, but they're a bit more sophisticated, but they're still there.
Yeah. So I remember I used to go to the hospital, and it's so weird. I remember I used to go to the hospital. My mum used to find it really hard to take me. So my grandmother, my mum's mum, used to take me. So I was under children's psychiatric. It was, honestly, thinking back, it was crazy. All, like I said, there was like all these wires in the room, all these big black boxes. There was this screen with a dark screen, you know, where so I think if I remember correctly, I was on one side of the screen and they were on the other side of the screen. And I can't remember if my grandmother was in the room or outside the room, but I remember they could see me, but I couldn't see them.
Right, yes.
That's how I remember it.
But tell us about, because you and I spoke and you told me about what happened afterwards, because he wasn't arrested, was he, when your mum took you to the police? Or was he?
No. So what happened was he was arrested, but I believe that because we were so young, they couldn't really take us through the court proceedings and the court stuff, because they asked, and then my mum said that it was been too traumatic for me. But then the police also said that there wasn't like physical evidence,
material evidence. Yeah,
exactly, because there wasn't physical evidence, and it was hereby hearsay. Which, you know, come on, he did it. A 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old. You're not going to just.
Little children, little primary school children don't collaborate with each other to falsely accuse a man.
And to be fair, to be honest with you, the other two that it was reported by, I didn't really have like that kind of close relationship with them to even conspire something like that.
You were infants. There would have to have been an adult introducing that to you to conspire.
Right.
You know, setting you guys up. There's no way that children autonomously get together with their under 8-year-old mates or cousins or whatever and say, let's set him up for sexual abuse. That you wouldn't have the reference point to even know what you're talking about. It's impossible.
But so basically there wasn't no material evidence. So we was unable to really do anything. there wasn't, I can't really remember, and I don't really ask my mum questions about, because I just feel like it's just, I don't really want to bring my mum back there, like to relive it, almost like I didn't want to relive it. But I'm an adult now, and I'm responsible for my own actions. I'm responsible for what I do. So actually, if I want to relive that now, then I'm able to do that.
Sure.
But, you know, I just think that at the time, I just don't think that, I think it was probably a lack of, I don't know, a lack of training on the police's behalf, maybe.
It's the 90s, right? So they weren't very good at anything in those days.
It was reported to Brixton Police Station, so it's probably, I don't really know, you know, where it probably maybe, it was just one of those times, unfortunately, where, you know, there's
and something like this happened. That sort of thing happens all too often, you know, and especially with Brixton Police failed that community monumentally on so many different levels. They harbored Vincent Atkins, harbored him and allowed him to run roughshod in the community with impunity for decades. And that's why we do this campaign. That's one of the reasons, the main reason why we stepped out in the first place, because what you had in those days was all these young girls turning up pregnant at 10, 11, 12 years old. Social services did nothing about it in Lambeth. Brixton Police allowed it to happen. You know, a whole generation of women have been affected and traumatized by these individuals. I mean, David Gray is obviously not the same age as Rat. He's in his 40s now, something like that. But you revisited it, didn't you? You actually went back to the police around the time he beat you up. Is that right?
Yeah. So I went back to when he was arrested. I tell you what happened. I dropped the charges, and once he punched me in the face and stuff, and I just dropped the charges because I was scared. At that time, I was really scared. I just thought, you know what, I just want this all to go away. And it was almost like my childhood was haunting me. So I felt like I was back like then. Then I just thought, oh, no, I don't want this. Like, I can't deal with this. Not now.
The police don't help, do they? They make you feel alienated in that way. And also you were saying that when you tried to revisit the sexual abuse part of it, they were talking about your statements not being the same.
Yeah. So I then when I tried to visit it, the police said that my statement that I gave as an adult didn't match the one when I was 7. But hold on, it wasn't even a written statement. I believe it might have been an audio statement.
Right.
They found it. They found all the records. They found, obviously, that I was under the social services. Not because of anything, obviously, my mum had done. My mum done the right thing. She reported it to them. Sure. And they said that the evidence, so basically the evidence, not that it didn't, there wasn't enough, and it was basically it was historical, so it didn't really matter.
This is what they do, and this is why we fight the way we fight, because the police clearly let you down. You know, had they done their job,
I was so mortified. And then, to be honest, I just thought they were saying, you know, you could pursue it if this happens, that happens, and then in the end, I was just like, oh, this is just too much. But my auntie, I will say, my auntie, every single day that I spoke to my auntie would be like, have you done this? Have you done that? She was like, oh, like my literally my verbal diary. She would say, have you spoke to this person? Have you spoke to that person? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I'd go, yeah. But I'd also be like, yeah. And, you know, I would get the messages and it would just take me so long to respond, or, you know, I didn't know how to start it, or I felt like alienated almost. Not obviously not towards my auntie, but I was just like, oh, I felt like that they just wasn't helping me enough. So yeah, that was.
This is it. You know, and when people say, oh, Afua, why don't you take these cases to the police? I keep repeating, lots of people like yourself have been to the police and they've been failed. So they feel their only recourse is to, you know what, for me to unburden myself and take back my power, I'm going to expose him. People need to know what he's doing. And also it stops them in their tracks because, excuse me, anybody that previously doubted or previously didn't know about him will know about him, and then it's their choice to keep their children away from him and not allow him to babysit. So you're actually sparing, you know, children.
And it's really weird because he always used to have girlfriends with like little children, like with little girls.
They target women like that. Yeah,
it's always like vulnerable women. Yeah, it's literally vulnerable women. Yep. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But it's really weird because I remember once having a conversation with one of his ex-girlfriends who told me before she knew that it was me that was involved or anything, or that I was one of the victims, she actually told me and my auntie that he has a sex problem.
Wow. What does that mean?
I don't know. And that's what I said. I asked my auntie the same question. I was like, well, what does that mean? You know,
that means he can't get it up, or he's got weird fetishes. I mean, what is that?
My auntie went, well, got a sex problem.
Make of that what you will.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly that. Make what you want of it. He's got a sex problem, but that was it, really.
You know, sis, it's just you are so together and lucid. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how survivors can be this way. I mean, obviously some people fall apart, and it's not a question of you're strong, they're not. You know, people pathologize things in different ways, and it also depends on a lot of external factors, kind of what happens to you next. You had a great support system in your auntie, you know, that was crucial, absolutely crucial.
And even just to interject, I mean, even the other people that he'd done this to, I mean, they're very supportive too.
Good,
but then they're scared to tell their own story.
Yeah.
And that's sad. That is sad. And also, I'm actually very lucky because even like my male cousin, he's like super supportive of it as well. Like he's just like he's like so against him. Like he's just like disgusting. It's gross. Like, but he's super supportive as well. But I won't know. I won't say no names.
No, of course. So where is he now? Because as far as I'm concerned, this guy's still at large. He's stalking around in Brixton somewhere or wherever he lives now. Like you said, he targets women with little girls because that's his penchant, little girls, as far as we know. There may well be boys out there, and I would encourage them to come forward as well.
Well,
he's clearly still doing it because these people, it's not something you just give up. You know what I mean? It's not something you just decide you're going to stop. They cannot help themselves. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know where he is. I don't really follow him up or anything like that. But I get told, like, you know, people say, oh, you know, he's here. This is another thing. He hides in the Jamaican community a lot.
Well, that's
because
interesting.
He hides. So he changed his whole identity, meaning, so if you speak to him, he will speak like a full-fledged blown Jamaican. Like he actually, in his mind, thinks he's born in Jamaica. So he properly speaks like a Jamaican because he can't really live in the real world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can't live there because I don't know if he feels ashamed. He probably doesn't, because if he felt ashamed, he'd probably, I don't know.
He'd get some help, wouldn't he? Somebody here says that they saw him in Brixton just today on Acre Lane.
Probably would seem about right.
Yeah, seem about right, wouldn't it? Flush him out. It's about time that this community took it to task. We're not saying that it doesn't happen anywhere else. Somebody else in one of my comments earlier this week was saying, oh, why do you always call out Brixton, man? Why don't you call out Junction, man? Well, I'm sorry. Junction women aren't coming in their droves wanting me to call out Junction
men. Tell them
men.
to come forward then. If that's
come
the case,
forward. That's
then
it.
They should come forward. They should say, okay, well, this has happened. Unfortunately, it just seems that this is where they're harbouring. That's what it just,
well,
you know,
in a higher concentration.
Exactly.
Something very fundamentally went very wrong in Brixton. We know this. It was almost like a set culture that went on. Yes, you have it everywhere. Yes, there were individuals that were going on with this in other parts of the country. But in Brixton, it seemed to be the culture. And that's the issue for me when it comes on to Brixton. So many, look, if I get 25 DMs in one day, 20 of them will be from Brixton, about Brixton men. So what is that?
That is so sad.
Do you know what I mean?
So sad.
It's just disgusting. And I feel like, you know, brothers across the board need to start taking these guys to task. We can shout all day long as women, but until the men turn to their peers and say, hold on, I saw you with that young girl. This is not good enough. Like there's a guy that I called out earlier before you came on called Sam Lewis from the Northwest London area. His mates nicknamed him Teenager.
Oh, well, that's because obviously it goes with teenagers, I would assume.
Absolutely, but they gave him that as a nickname and thought it was funny. That's the kind of rubbish that I'm talking about. That's got to stop. That has to stop. Men have to start taking responsibility for these guys because they know more than we do. They're out raving with these guys. They're out driving along on a sunny day with them when they're calling for girls. They see what these guys do.
Disgusting. You know? Sorry, and I'm going to say, anyone who supports them or stands by people like that, you're actually worse than them.
Absolutely.
That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And family it's not members. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
And invariably, sis, you know what's sad about that? It's the women, the sisters, the mums, the daughters, the girlfriends, or whatever. It's mainly the women that shield these guys. I don't know if it's their own desperation to hang on to these men after time, but it's mainly the women that shield these guys. If anything, the men might go silent rather than say anything.
There was, it could be, because I said, it's funny, I had this discussion with my auntie today, and she said that, I can't even remember the word she says it is, but basically that they've been in that environment for so long that they think that that's normal to them. I can't remember the word she used. Maybe she's online.
It's normalized.
Like, type it in the comments or something.
Put it in the comments for us. But it's normalized. They've been actually culturalized and normalized into this type of behavior. We saw that in the case of Richard Gordon, aka Kwaku, who tried to defend his actions. Try to force a sister for sex, and he was like, "What? So every little thing that a man does back in the day is going to get called out. Like if he tried to get with a woman. Hello, you don't force a woman to have sex with you. It's not normal.
No, exactly. It's no. When a woman says no, it's no, and that's it.
Right. That's right. Oh no, but we're just Me Too sex. What do you call it? Feminists. When we say that, no means no. Equates to you're a Me Too feminist who just wants to put men down. That's all you want to do is put men down and destroy black men in the black community. I think they're doing a good job. Men like him, I should say, of doing that for themselves. You know, we don't have a problem with black men of good standing.
My auntie said it's called Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome. Of course, I've covered it a few times. Yeah, loads of that going on. Absolutely loads of that going on. You know, we saw that with people like Eamon Edwards and his women or his family. You know, Stockholm Syndrome going on. Too much of that. Too much of that. And it's a real thing. People think it's just, you know, this sort of throwaway term. It's real. It's a real diagnosis. Yeah.
When my auntie said it to me, I Googled it and I was like, oh, because my auntie's really good at making words up. She's a bit like that. Like, you know, paedophile, she calls them pedophiles and things like that. So I just, oh, is this another one of her words that I'm going to have to Google? But I Googled it. It's actually does exist.
It is. You see it a lot with hostage situations, you know. when somebody's been
she
kidnapped.
gave me an example. She did give me an example of it.
Yeah, and they literally, you know, the SWAT team will come in through the windows to free this person, and they're not going anywhere.
That's what my
auntie with their kidnapper. Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
very real. Very, very real. And I do believe that there's a lot of that going on in the community, Stockholm syndrome, when it comes to victims not wanting to, you know, you step from victim to survivor at this point when you start to admit to yourself that this isn't okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's not okay, and I'm actually going to bring back my power. That's when you become a survivor.
Exactly, exactly. And like I said previously, I would urge any woman, anyone, even if you're a guy, a boy, or anyone that he's done this to, honestly, I'm very, very sorry that this has happened and you had to go through this. And unfortunately, this is just how this wicked world can work. And it's just one of those things. But, you know, once you speak out, you do feel better. You do feel better.
Absolutely. And even if it isn't about, like you said, publicizing it, tell somebody else, whether it's Tasha, myself, or just someone else. You know, we may never have to know, but just tell another human being and offload that burden. It's so
and like mentally, you will feel better mentally. 100% you'll feel better mentally.
100%, sis. So how would you say, moving forward, sorry, before I go there, what I will say as well, because you spoke about the lack of material evidence, which is so characteristic in historic sexual abuse cases. That's what really lets it down. You know, it enables it not to go to court much of the time, because the court system doesn't seem to want to gear.
I think it's about numbers. I think so.
It's completely about corroboration. That's what I was about to say. To get a conviction with sexual abuse cases, it has to be about corroboration.
It has to be about, exactly. So, you know, if you know someone that he's done it to, not just him, other people, other disgusting predators, anyone that they've done it to, stick together. You know, don't feel ashamed, don't feel embarrassed. You know, it's not your fault. Always remember, it is not your fault. You never asked for it to happen to you.
That's
and
right.
Unfortunately, it has happened, and it's one of those things. But to be able to free your mind and to feel, you know, normal again, if there's such thing as normal. I actually don't like that word normal, because I don't think there is really such a thing as normal. But
it's all relative to the individual, isn't it?
I think to be like, to, you know, so that you are your best you need to talk about it and get that person. Honestly, they need to get a strike. Definitely, they need striking out. 100%.
Thank you, sis. 100%. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, thank you.
I think you've done an amazing job. Look, if people aren't inspired to come and talk about David Gray now, then they probably never will after your testimony, my sister. It's a very strong, important testimony.
And if he can do that to his own niece,
his own flesh and blood
niece, sorry, the rest of them don't stand a chance. And
to point out as well, because you know, when I put his picture up, we hadn't spoken. You've come recently to speak your truth. So I was contacted by a couple of other people who told me about him, 3 people who told me about him in the beginning and supplied the picture for me. Massive backlash, because the picture was old and people misunderstood that I was, you know, talking about that. And they were like, oh, he was found not guilty. But he was guilty of those crimes, wasn't he? Even though he was found not guilty.
No, he wasn't found not good. He wasn't found.
Oh, right. Guilty. Okay.
He actually wasn't found not good.
Listen about that, sis.
It was just that there wasn't enough. It didn't quite. We couldn't really, because we were so young.
Sure.
So he wasn't found guilty. He wasn't found not guilty. But he's guilty. He's guilty because he obviously.
So there's a misconception by the community that he was found not guilty.
Exactly.
Thank you for putting that record straight. It's just that they didn't ever bring the case, because you guys.
So if you was to go and look into his record, David Gray's records, you will see it there, because he has been arrested for it, because they say He was never arrested for it. Yes, he was.
Yes, he
yes,
was.
he was. Yes,
right.
he was.
But the police, as usual, failed. As usual.
Exactly.
And then they wonder why we do what we do on this platform. Because we can't go to the police, especially as the Black community in Britain. They just don't take us seriously. You know, I'm pretty sure that, I was about to say that your Auntie Jan has just mentioned who he's really good friends with, because I was told this by the other victims before you came forward. Big friends with Quincy. Well. You know, Quincy that rapes little boys in care and in young offenders, that Quincy that hurts people and maims people, yeah, that Quincy. Vincent Rat's son, yeah, that Quincy. There's just a common link every single time with these people, you know. I mean,
well,
I'm not even asking you to comment, sis, because
I was going to say I'm not going to comment on that, because I don't know Quincy on a personal level.
Sure.
So
no, that's not part of your story. That's what I'm saying. That's me, Afua. Let me just get that straight to all these people out there. I, Afua, was told prior to Tasha Gray approaching me, when I first put up David Gray's picture on my Instagram a few months ago now, I was told by those victims that he was friends with Quincy. That's what I was told. And it's been confirmed in the comments as well. So I'm just saying, like, wow, these 28s, this Stockwell Park estate set, which is what David Gray belongs to, have got a very serious problem, and they need to be brought to book. But it's not going to happen if women are now feeling ashamed and they don't want to talk their truth because of all this backlash and this fear. It's never going to happen, and they will continue to do it. Their sons will continue to do it. You know, David Gray, some people are saying that he was influenced by the likes of the 28s and Quincy and that whole Stockwell Park estate scene. Whatever. We have choices in life. You know, we don't have to do certain things.
Exactly. He made that choice. He made that choice. He chose to do that. Sorry, he's got no one to blame but himself.
And the difference is, you know, when I think it's scripture says or something, when I was a child, I done as a child and I spoke as a child. And now I'm a man, I put away childish things. But these people have continued into their adult life perpetrating this kind of atrocity. So, sorry, even though people like Quincy was raised by a monster, he's gone on to pathologize into the very same monster that he didn't want to be. That's an issue. You know, you don't get any kind of compassion when that's your reality, I'm afraid. My sister, thank you very, very much for coming and sharing your truth. Thank you. We will stay in touch. And I am definitely hoping that some fresh victims come and they contact you. And if they contact me, I will definitely push them your way. If we get enough of a big enough cohort, I will support all of you guys to take this to the police and to bring it forward.
Lovely. Okay, thank you so much for listening.
Blessed love, sis. Blessed love.
Okay, all right then. Bye. Enjoy your night.
Bye. What a lovely, wonderful, brave sister. Yes, his face is on Instagram, aren't you, Jan? His face is up there. Very, very brave sister. Amazing, beautiful soul. As always, you know, a lot of the women that come on here have been broken, but I do believe it's almost like when the scripture talks about the potter's wheel. You know, you're kind of broken down into dust and then built back up into a beautiful piece of pottery. You know, we have to go to the potter's wheel sometimes, my brothers and sisters, in order to come out strong and forged, you know, and whole again. So yeah, big up Tasha, man. What are you people saying now is what I want to say. All you stragglers, all you deniers, calling people liars. Are you going to call Tasha a liar? Are you? You know, are you going to call Tasha a liar? Of course she's not a liar. Too much detail in there. Dates, times, recollections, and it's been reported to the police at the time, at source. But unfortunately, as always, the police let us down. That is why we do what we do, because the police aren't on our side with this, my sisters. They really, really aren't. And I certainly hope that we get as many people on as possible. I'm going to put up the link if anyone wants to come on and comment very quickly. Other than that, I will end the live if nobody's going to come on. But it's you know, maybe it's time that good time for us to reflect and so on. There's the link on screen for anyone that wants to jump in. I mean, that's just, you know, every time I hear a testimony, every time I hear about the pain of a child, it's almost just like I'm hearing it for the first time. It's fresh again. You know, it's just fresh again. It will never cease to amaze me how these people are allowed to get away with what they get away with, and why these baby mothers, these baby mothers think that it's okay. Oh, Ronnie, you keep doing this from last week, Ron. Please, 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 Ronnie, connect your thing. When you first go in, Ron, I actually tested it today, but when you first go in, to try and come on, hold on, I've got to get him off before I even tell him this, because he won't hear. This Ronnie person, honestly, Ronnie, please connect. Ron, please connect your video and your camera. It's not that hard. I actually sort of done it on my other phone and tried to get into the live myself today so that I could see what it is that you guys see when you're coming on. You need to come on, put in your name, Ronnie, which you clearly have done, or maybe you haven't, and then make sure that your cameras are on, okay? If you need to go into the settings of the camera to make sure you've got the right of the camera and the audio, please do that. But it's not really that hard. You keep coming on without your camera connected, and I cannot join you to the live. I know you've been wanting to speak since last week, and I'm anxious to speak to you as well. So please try it again if you can, Ron. Yeah, please try it again. I mean, poor thing, he tried about 4 or 5 times last week and still can't get on today. But you've got to put your camera on, I'm afraid. Yeah, but if anyone else wants to come in and comment on Tasha's story or any other story, or David Gray himself, that would be amazing. But yeah, something happened. You see that Stockwell Park Estate scene? You know, I remember walking through there as a kind of 14, 15-year-old. We'd come up from where I grew up in the East End of London, and we had some links up in Brixton, and it was the first place I ever saw a street robbery, because the boys in my ends hadn't even progressed to that yet at that age. You know, there was always more going on in Brixton, and definitely Stockwell Park Estate. I feel very lucky that I didn't fall foul to these people. I don't know if it's the guys I was moving with and whatever. A couple of them I'm still friends with to this day. You know, it was a girl from our school who was a little bit grown up. You know, compared to us, we were very green. And we decided to follow her one day up to Brixton and ended up walking through Stockwell Park Estate. But knowing what I know now, it kind of gives me goosebumps and gives me the heebie-jeebies, because I think you could have so easily been a victim of these people in Stockwell Park Estate garages, or one of those dodgy flats that Vincent Ratt or Tony Buttons used to frequent and sell girls through there. You know, I could have easily been a victim of that. I could have been a victim of that in studio. My paths crossed so many times with all of these names that are called out. Not all of them, but a good few, you know. Thankfully, I don't know, I must have an angel watching over me or something. But, you know, my abuser wasn't from Brixton, that's for sure. Ronnie, if you want to try again, please do. Anyone else that wants to come on to say something? Doesn't look as if we're going to have anyone. Yeah. Give it a few more minutes and then I'm going to end the live, my brothers and sisters. I'm so crazy tired. And I've got very little food inside of me from fasting and stuff today. So I'm probably going to go and have a good old nosh up, as we say in the East End, and kick back. There's plenty work to be done. And we are moving forward, you know. We are moving forward in terms of making sure that we've got aftercare in place and we've got support services that is specific. Because you could, you know, I do refer a lot of survivors and victims to NAPAC, because it's one of my favorite organizations. I think they're brilliant at what they do. But generally, I do believe that we need a cultural specific service that is understanding of the norms and the nuances within our community and what those people need. You know, the Muslim community will have their own. Jewish community will have their own, because they understand that, you know, charity begins at home and that you need your own to be able to understand fully. But for some reason, we're told that we can't have our own and we must always go to mainstream services. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. So yeah, there's the link. I'm going to post it one more time for anyone to copy and paste. If you want to come on, try again for me. Poor Ronnie, man. Ronnie just isn't getting this. He isn't getting it at all. Poor Ron. But yeah, if you want to come on, have a comment, have your say. Everyone's really shy, usually. Yep, they are. The testimonies are very hard, Peppy. How you doing, sis? Very, very hard. But you know, like I said, I spent 30 years listening to a lot worse. I can tell you. In the game, the atrocities that I've heard. That's why I stopped providing one-to-one therapy. It was just too heavy. After a while, I used to come home from work and you know, you'd kind of like, you know, you get in from work sometimes. My children would be gone off to my ex-husband's for the evening on a Friday or something, and I'd come in and say, all right, let me just take 5 minutes to gather my thoughts before I continue with my evening. And that'd be like, I don't know, 6 o'clock or something. And in my head, I'd only been sat there 5 minutes. I'd look at the time and it'd be 9 p.m. because 3 hours had passed with my head just turning, you know? Crazy. Somebody put, please donate £1. Yeah, absolutely. We work on the Garveyite principle here. We're going to make a village and we're going to do what we need to do. We're not asking anyone to give what they cannot afford. But there's 480 something people on this live at the moment. And if each of those people gave £1, then we'd have £480. And that would go a long, that could actually start the helpline at this stage. I'm sick of using my own money to do things. And I do have children and grandchildren and responsibilities. So I'm not really wanting to do that. I'm not saying that I'm not prepared to, but I'm not saying that I want to, because that's just going to break me real fast, isn't it? We've got to do this as a community effort. The details for how you donate are at the bottom of the page. These are not personal funds. I earn my own money and I'm perfectly okay. Thank you very much. This is so that we can get the campaign going and set up an infrastructure. Set up an infrastructure that we can leave a lasting legacy for our girls, that they will never again have to go through what our generation has gone through. Somebody here put minimum donation £5. I'm not putting nothing on that. You know, this isn't mega church or the Nation of Islam, where they have literally like it's almost like a bloody auction. You know, who's going to give me 20? Who's going to give me 5? Who's going to give me whatever? I mean, no, that. I just want us to be able to build something for ourselves, my brothers and sisters. I really, really do. So it looks like no one's going to come. Ronnie's given up. I don't know what to say to you, Ronnie. Go on a YouTube tutorial, my brother. Or maybe it's a sister, I don't know. Ronnie's actually a unisex name, isn't it? But Ronnie, go on a YouTube tutorial and find out how to join a live with StreamYard. You know, that might help you. Really want to talk to you. And also, could you DM me, Ronnie? Could you DM me? Maybe we can go through it together. I'm at Afua Rose 69 or at Afua Speak 69 on Instagram. So please DM me. Other than that, it's been a pleasure as always. I want a big up Tasha. I want us to all pray for that sister. Send her as much love and light and good vibes as we possibly can. And there's bound to be a backlash on the back of this. And I just want to big up Auntie Janice. Yeah, Auntie Janice, you are a G of the highest order. Auntie Janice says, Afua, I have to thank you for giving my Tasha a platform to speak her truth. Enough blessings and love. But you know what, my sister, the blessings and love go out to you, because you've kept that baby strong. You know, you've been the epitome of what an auntie ought to be, you know. And where other adults failed her, you picked her up, you kept her in your bosom, and you made her the woman that she is. You helped to make her the woman that she is. So big up to Auntie Janice. Whoever you are, I would love to know you, my sister. Because you see that when you can stand against or stand up in your family, you know, I know what it is to have to stand up in a family of deniers, a family of perpetrators. I know what it is to stand up and to be counted and not be popular, you know, to be vilified because of your truth. I know exactly what that feels like. So big up to you, Auntie. Big up Tasha. Big up all the women that have ever shared on this platform, from Instagram days come back to YouTube. And we keep on moving. We've got more next week. Keep the fire burning. Keep the fire burning, my people. we are not stopping. We are not stopping until some of those key players are brought to justice, and we are not stopping until we have our structures and our infrastructures in place that can aftercare and facilitate our young people moving forward. And that's girls and boys. I also want to hear way more from the brothers that have been through this. You know, there is no shame in what has happened to you. There's only a very few handful of men that will actually take it to that level where they're going to call out, or they're going to actually speak their truth, especially public. I mean, they won't even speak their truths privately, much less publicly. I love that as a hashtag. Flush them ass out. Flush them out. We ain't stopping until we've flushed out as many as we possibly can. And we've changed the narrative and the culture for young girls. All right. So blessed love, my brothers and sisters. I will see you here next week on Community Conversations, Afua Speaks, this time next week at 9 p.m. Blessed love.